true that the LMO allows possible additional density in several locations around the island. Under my administration, we will continue to revisit the revised LMO and amend it as necessary when additional density will adversely impact our traffic. But the LMO is only one piece of the puzzle. There are other factors at play, such as individual development plans by landowners and the development review process itself. This is another case of the town's piecemeal approach to development approvals. I believe that we need, at long last, a long-term master plan for the island, and especially for the area between the circles. A key to that plan is a comprehensive traffic study. I will lead the effort to get that done. I believe that we also need to encourage other modes of transportation, public transportation, pedestrians, bicycling. This will all serve to minimize traffic on our roads. Excuse me. For me, here's the bottom line. We need to intelligently encourage revitalization of the island, but no large-scale development should proceed before we know the traffic impacts.
The question, though, that I've never fully understood the answer to, and I would pose to you as well, is why was it so crucial that we rewrote our Land Management Ordinance? Well, to understand the answer to that question, I think the first place to look is to see, well, what is the change going to do? And who stands to profit from that change? Why are we clamoring to rewrite the Land Management Ordinance? I wasn't. I'm a business owner. I'm a resident of this community. Didn't stop me from starting my business in the last 4 years. Who stands to benefit from that Land Management Ordinance? First question that I would ask. I would submit that it's the developers, clearly. The question then is, well, is that a justifiable thing to do? Is that in everyone's best interest? Sure, it benefits people that stand to make a lot of money from increased development. I understand that, it makes sense. But what about the residents? What about the people that drive around this town? What about the people that live in Sea Pines or Port Royal or Hilton Head Plantation? Do they stand to benefit? That's an open question, and I'm not sure the answer to that is yes. In addition, when you look at the USCB campus being put on Office Park Road, again, you're looking at increased traffic. You're looking at increased density. There are benefits, to be sure, of these projects. Education is a very important thing in the community. That's not to be discounted. But the question that's never been answered, is it in everybody's best interest? Do the positive effects outweigh the negative effects? And I'm not sure that that was ever openly vetted. I'm not sure that everybody in this room could come to an agreement on that. And the question then is, why did it have to happen? And what impact will it have on you? What I advocate, just generally, just as a general principle, is openness and transparency. And here's why. Time and time again I see, not just in my professional life, but in my personal life as well. And also, you know, like anyone else, I watch the news. I saw our Speaker of the House today plead guilty, or yesterday, pleading guilty to corruption charges. Again and again, you see these patterns of secrecy and closed doors and hiding things. And what does that generally lead to? You all know it's fraud, it's corruption, it's underhandedness. In the South, they call it the good old boy network. But that's not a positive thing for me. It's a positive if you're part of that network. But what about everybody else? What about everybody else that's not part of that secret network? It's not a positive. So as a general principle, openness, transparency, these are good things. These are things that everybody who is elected to our local town council, mayor, any local office needs to believe in. And if they don't, they need to go. Their day is done. The mayor's got 4 challengers. He's an incumbent mayor. Why would he have 4 challengers? Got to ask yourself, it doesn't make any sense. A lot of offices, and Mr. Lennox is one, they're not even opposed. Well, there's smoke, there's fire, there's issues here. So generally speaking, I disagree with the Land Management Ordinance. I would suggest that it never need to be rewritten. I understand that there are some positive effects. I think they're overwhelmingly outweighed by the negative effects. I think that anybody that disagrees, you have to question why.
You're not going to hear me promoting and preying upon fear to try to get elected. And you're not going to hear me make personal attacks on any other candidate. It is unworthy of Hilton Head Island, and it is not what we have undergone in the past in our contested races. We've had discussions of the issues, civil discussions, between people who respect each other. In 2010, Mayor Peoples convened a task force for the future of Hilton Head Island I was privileged to serve on. And rewriting the LMO was one of the recommendations. Most of the candidates for mayor 4 years ago agreed that the Land Management Ordinance was out of date and needed to be rewritten. And we convened a panel of citizens to undertake the task of steering us through that process. That panel of citizens had probably 100 public meetings over a 3.5-year period. And they produced an excellent, excellent land management ordinance. And they addressed the issues that we had with the old one. And it provides us with a platform to move forward. With respect to the Sea Pine Circle District, there are zoning changes there. But those zoning changes do not increase the burden on traffic, except to the extent that they allow for successful development instead of the blight that is on Office Park Road now. What is the zoning that is allowed for that area would generate no more traffic than those office buildings if they were occupied and functioning the way they should. I ran 4 years ago on a platform of attracting private investment and using those private dollars to revitalize this island, and we have had remarkable success so far. And one of the reasons that I'm running it again is to continue that progress. Because it will continue. Because we have understood what it takes to work with private investors for the mutual success of our community and them. And without that mutual success, there is no progress. Trying to tell somebody what to do with their private property is a recipe for disaster. You set your zoning, you set the allowable use, you set your standards, and you work with the private sector. I am not in favor of moratorium on the development of people's private property. I am in favor of doing the traffic studies, determining what improvements to infrastructure will be required to service the zoning that is in effect, and then going about making the improvements that will allow that to happen.